In this video, I'm going to talk about the factors that would lead you to pick one brand of hearing aid versus another. Coming up. Hi guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona. And on this channel, I cover a bunch of hearing-related information to help make you a better informed consumer. So if you're into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to click the bell to receive a notification every time I post a new video. Another question that I get asked all the time is, which brand of hearing aid is the best? And I typically give the same answer, which is, it depends. You see, in order for me to identify which brand is right for you, I have to understand what your hearing loss is, and I have to have a really detailed understanding of what your needs are. It is not uncommon for me to treat a couple like a husband and a wife and treat each one of them with two different brands of hearing aids. And they often look at me and like, wait, hold on a second, we want the best brand. I'm like, well, the best brand for you is different than the best brand for your husband or for your wife. Now, there are a number of solid hearing aid brands out there. I would consider the top 7 to be Phonak, Signia, Widex, Starkey, Oticon, Resound, and Unitron. When it comes to treating hearing losses that can be treated with hearing aids, at least one of these brands would have the right technology to do it. Now, there are fewer differences between brands than you would think. And first of all, never pick a brand based off of the reported sound quality. So never trust the marketing hype of how good the sound quality is, and never trust your buddy who says that their hearing aids are the absolute best hearing aids in the world when it comes to sound quality. Sound quality is extremely subjective, and you can't be guaranteed that you're going to like any one specific brand. All of those brands that I just mentioned all have very similar sound quality. There might be some variations between them, but not massive variations. So the things that you really need to be paying attention to are the features of the particular brand that you're looking at, and if your hearing care provider regularly works with that brand. Let's first consider the feature differences inside of these hearing aid brands. Now, as time goes on, we typically see that these features and these hearing aids start to look very similar to each other. If you go back 5-6 years ago, there were only 2 brands that could directly stream from an iPhone into the hearing aids, which was a huge game changer. But as the time has gone on, now you have basically any device that has the ability to stream from an iPhone, and now you have a couple devices, or a couple brands out there rather, that can stream directly from Android phones as well. Another couple months from now, another year from now, all of these brands are going to have the capability to do the exact same thing. However, some feature differences can be very different between brands. When you look at it from a noise reduction perspective, you have some brands that are like, hey, we're going to use directionality, we're going to narrow up the pickup range of these microphones, and basically anything that you look at, that's what you're going to hear, and we're not going to amplify any sound around you. Well, that's one way of approaching it. Then you have other brands who basically say, hey, you know what, we're going to leave that listening landscape open, and we're going to try to selectively pick out things inside of that area so you are not feeling like you're having this tunnel vision effect. It seems like every couple of months we get new devices with new features on them, and it is basically a full-time job just to stay on top of all the changes that are happening in the hearing industry right now. Now, that is just 2 examples of different features that are inside of each of these brands. So you need to make sure that you're picking the right features for you, and there are a lot of features. So that's something that you really need to spend time on to make sure that you understand, or that you have a hearing care professional who is staying up to speed on all of these feature changes. Which basically leads me to the second consideration when determining which brand is right for you, and that is your hearing care professional. In most cases, even the best hearing care professionals will only work with a few different brands, and if you're lucky, they may be familiar with 3 or 4 of them. So the real question is, how good is your hearing care professional going to be at fitting and programming that particular brand of hearing aid? I can say in my clinic that if someone comes in and they want a Unitron hearing aid, that I will not be able to program that Unitron hearing aid as well as I would be able to program a Phonak, a Signia, or a Starkey hearing aid. It's just because of my familiarity with how to work with those particular brands. Sure, I could still fit you with the Unitron hearing aid, but the simple fact of the matter is that you probably wouldn't perform as well with that Unitron device as you would with another device that I'm more familiar with. The one possible exception to this rule is if your hearing care professional is following best practices to a T. So if you really want that Unitron hearing aid, but the hearing care professional that is really good at what they do doesn't work with Unitron a whole lot, there's a chance that you could still have a really good outcome as long as that hearing care professional is following best practices. Now, if you want to learn more about best practices and why they are so critical to your performance with hearing aids, I highly recommend that you check out my video that I will have linked in the description. Now, if I had to choose between a brand of hearing aids that I thought was perfect for me and a hearing care professional who is really familiar with a different brand, I take the hearing care professional who's familiar with the brand 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Hearing care professionals just understand how to get the most out of the brand that they're most familiar with, so you really have to take that into consideration when you're trying to decide if one brand is more important to you than another. At the end of the day, selecting the best hearing aid brand with the right features is extremely important, but it is not as important as finding a great hearing care professional who is familiar with that brand and who can maximize the performance of that device by using best practices. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you like the video, please share it. And if you want to see other videos just like this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, feel free to check out my website, drcliffaud.com.